Buongiorno Roma, buongiorno, benvenuti, benvenute al congresso elettorale della nostra famiglia politica. Sono molto contenta di essere qui in questa bellissima città, la città più bella del mondo. Allora, è un grande piacere di vedere tutti voi da tutte le parti di Europa e del mondo. Today all the roads lead to Rome. My name is Saar van Buren, Deputy Secretary General of the PES, and I will guide you through the program today. But before we start with the speeches, the interventions, the election of the common candidate, I would like to ask on stage a few of our fantastic leaders for a family photo. So, I call on stage the Chancellor of Germany, Olaf Scholz, the Prime Minister of Spain, Pedro Sánchez, Prime Minister of Portugal, Antonio Costa, our common candidate, Nico Schmidt, our host, Ellie Schelling, our PES President, Stefan Löfven, all our national leaders, our Prime Minister of Denmark, all the panelists today, Mr. Lars Klingbeil, Magdalena Andersson, Frans Timmermans, Paolo Gentiloni, commissioners, heads of lists, and the PES leadership. Yes, the national leaders come on stage. Irachte. Heads of lists. PES women. Where's Nico? You can be next to Ellie. Yes, you can be stand here. Here, you can stand here. Nico, stay with them. Yes. Go in front, go in front. Yes, Mohammed. Yeah. Okay, there we are. Grazie mille. Okay, we wait a little bit for everyone to take their seats, because then we will officially start. May I ask everyone to take their seats again? Thank you. So we can start the program. There will be plenty of time to take pictures today. Okay, Congress. Please. Take your seats and we will start the formal program of today. And to start that formal program, we need to do something official and statutory. Yesterday, the presidency of the Party of European Socialists already appointed a Congress chair for today. But the Congress needs to affirm it again, appoint it officially again. And the presidency decided that our Secretary General, Giacomo Filibeck, will be the Congress chair, if you all agree. But I would say, in his hometown, I will welcome my friend and colleague, Giacomo Filibeck.
I take the acclamation as a unanimous vote, and I thank you all for being here. The Congress is now officially opened. Benvenuti a tutti. Benvenuti a tutti e a tutte. Few seconds of your time. This will be a very intense morning. Speeches from our glorious prime ministers, commissioners, head of parties, heads of lists. We have a collective leadership gathered in this room today, which represent the future of the European Union, which has to be social, democratic and sustainable, because this is the Europe we want, l'Europa che vogliamo. I would like to thank everybody here, all the member organizations, starting with the young people led by Eric and Sophie, PES Women led by Zita, our senior organization led by Jos, and all the member parties that are together here today. And I would like to do a special thank to our Partito Democratico and our leader, Elly Schlein. With what happened last weekend in Sardinia, PD and Elly showed clearly that even the worst kind of right wing in government in this country can be defeated. They are not unbeatable, they are beatable. And to conclude the thanking, I would really like to thank one person that has been crucial in organizing this Congress. It is the International Secretary of Partito Democratico, Peppe Provenzano, with whom we have been working shoulder to shoulder in these past months to make this Congress a reality, the beautiful reality that you see. So I invite him to say a few words on behalf of PD to welcome you all.
Ciao, buongiorno a tutte e a tutti. Welcome to Rome. It's an honor and a pleasure to see such a beautiful crowd here. Let me say how crucial it is for us to be here in Rome. Italy is one of the most important political battlefields against the far right. As Giacomo said, Giorgia Meloni and its allies won the past elections, but they do not own Italy. Their arrogance will be punished, and we will win again, like we just did in Sardinia. Thank you, Elly. Thank you, Partito Democratico. We need more Europe. And for us, more Europe does not mean more bureaucracy, more technocracy. It means more politics. Russia's horrifying invasion of Ukraine has shattered the illusion that policy could be replaced by businesses. The war in the Middle East, the last heartbreaking images from Gaza for which we are strongly calling for a ceasefire, show us that only through politics we can find the path that leads to peace, to two people and two states. Europe is a peace project. We must always remember it. Now, as the pandemic dramatically shown us, society exists. Welfare state is not over. There is always an alternative. We did it with the Next Generation EU, the minimum wage directive. Sure, Nicolas, Paolo, thank you. We need to rediscover the same ambition, the courage of men like our beloved and unforgotten David Sassoli. We must say clearly to our people, we are European socialists. The Europe we want is not the one we have today. We are fighting not to keep Europe as it is, but for the Europe we want, more social, more democratic, more sustainable. We must be able to go to a market, Nicola, and say that our Europe is the one that raises wages, to the suburbs, and say that our Europe is the one that saves jobs and improves working conditions, to a factory, and say that our Europe is the one that saves jobs and improves work conditions, to a square, to say that our Europe is the one that defends the rights of all people. We must be able to build the Europe we want. Thank you. Ciao. Bella ciao.
Peppe, grazie, grazie, grazie. Okay, and then now to welcome for the first speech of today is our PES President, Stefan Löfven. Welcome to the stage, Stefan.
Dear all, delegates, prime ministers, party leaders, members, activists, care compagne e cari compagni. A warm welcome to the PES Congress hosted by our friends from Partido Democratico, our dear Ellis Line, and also the Mayor of Rome, Roberto Gualtieri. Thank you. Cara Ellie, prima di tutto, congratulazioni per la vittoria in Sardegna. Brava! It is indeed a great pleasure to see you all here, and this is without doubt the right place to start our European campaign. The city where almost now 70 years ago, Europeans witnessed an historic moment. The birthplace of this beautiful, beautiful peace project that we call the European Union. A union that would have remained a remote idea had it not been for the millions of citizens driven by a deep determination to move from years of hate and destruction to a new era of peace and solidarity. Rome reminds us of this. No vision is born without dreamers. No dream can grow without ambitious people, and no ambition can survive without courage. And that is why we care so much about the European Union, not as an end to itself, but because for us, Europe means solidarity and equality. Europe means development and progress. Europe means democracy and peace. So allow me to focus on these 3 points. Friends, solidarity and equality have always been the driving forces of social democrats. And that is why it is so important for us to build a union of opportunities for all. Everyone should be able to develop her or his full potential. 2 very important perspectives of that is gender equality and children's rights. For us, gender equality is both a moral thing, a deeply ideologically stance, because we are so convinced of the equal value of all human beings. But gender equality is also about logic. The best way to develop a society is, of course, to use 100% of its potential, not 50%. And in the words of Malala Yousafzai, she said, and I quote, "We cannot all succeed if half of us are held back," end of quote. And that's why, dear friends, in these European elections, I want every woman, every girl across the European continent to know, understand, and feel that PES is the only party, the only political force that can both fully understand the importance of gender equality, but also move towards a really equal society. That is our task. And for our children, let's just start where it all begins, with our children. It's a fight for a generation. Let us build on the child guarantee and move forward. Let Europe be the first continent to eradicate child poverty. Social Democrats can deliver a truly equal union for all. Friends, progress and development are other important elements of our union. Today we stand before you here in the city of Rome, a city of unrivaled beauty, but also a city with an unequaled history that definitely holds lessons for us. If you explore this wonderful place, you will find the Via dei Fori Imperiali. From there, you can see some of Rome's most impressive ancient buildings. But this road is not ancient. That road was completed in 1932, ordered by Mussolini as a stage for his fascist parades. This grand construction required the demolition of one of the most densely populated areas in Rome at the time, including the homes of some of the poorest families. Why am I telling this? This is a strong reminder of the right-wing extremists sacrificing people in pursuit of propaganda. A reminder that politics always have to be about people and never about grandstanding or personal gain. And we must make this very clear during these elections. But Social Democrats, we care about people and general interests. We care not about the few, we care about the many. It's in our DNA. And this is why we fight so hard for welfare state and public service. Now, I have fought many elections, and you know, as well as I, in every election, the voters are told, this is the most important election you will face. I believe that this time voters need to know that this is the most important European election since 1979. The stakes are high, and the alternatives, the choice is clear. It's either a right-wing Europe held captive by the far right, or a progressive Europe led by social democrats. And this is not just an empty warning. Just a few months ago, here in Rome, far-right protesters proudly made the fascist salute. The fact that the country's prime minister, elevated to government by Christian Democrats, cannot bring herself to condemn that fascist rally is disgraceful. To normalize the far right is, in practice, to endanger everything we have built together. And that is why my message to those EPP and ALDE parties that have struck deals with the far right is this. You cannot be pro-European and democratic and at the same time do agreements with parties that are fundamentally anti-EU. Our red line, the PES red line is clear. We will never cooperate with the ECR and ID. We will never cooperate with Alternative für Deutschland, PiS, Vox. We will never cooperate with extremist leaders. Comrades, such regressive movements promise a lot, but they deliver nothing. In reality, their ideas are dangerous, both in the short perspective but also in the long perspective. Take climate change as an example. Now, our planet has now breached the 1.5 Celsius warming benchmark for the past year. Floods, droughts, wildfires are already devastating our communities. So the climate change is definitely on the ballot at the European elections. And it is unacceptable that EPP is siding with the far right and using the Green Deal as a scapegoat to avoid discussing what is really important for farmers and for the planet. And they do not propose any alternative, just a dangerous status quo. We will hold them accountable for this. Voters must know that the consequences of EPP and the far-right actions are extreme weather today and an uninhabitable planet tomorrow. These are the risks. But on top of that, if we do not act, we will miss the opportunity to effectively create sustainable jobs, drive innovation, provide affordable and clean energy, build sustainable and warm homes, and also produce clean public transport. We cannot leave this to the markets. But through a green social deal, we will take account of social progress, we will support families, workers, farmers, we will support citizens and small, medium enterprises to ensure that the climate adaptation is a fair one. Now, I would like to say a few words about the Middle East, Ukraine, and multilateralism. As the former Labour Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin said, and I quote, "We must fight terrorism as if there is no peace process and work to achieve peace as if there is no terror." Let us be clear. Israelis and Palestinians both have the right to peace and security and a right to self-determination. We stand firmly against terrorism and all that can cause human tragedy and suffering. We combat anti-Semitic, Islamophobic, or any other racist sentiment wherever it appears. I firmly condemn the rise of anti-Semitism in Europe. Europe without its Jewish population is not Europe. And we stand up for the UN Charter, human rights, international law, and humanitarian law. Now, what is taking place in Gaza is a human tragedy. The escalation of violence in this region is terrifying. The number of civilian deaths is unacceptable. We must do all that we can to stop this human suffering. Stop the killing of civilians. Make sure that people are receiving the much-needed aid. And in the words of Hannah Arendt, and I quote, "No punishment has ever possessed enough power of deterrence to prevent the commission of crimes. Wars bring violence, destruction, and death. And this is why a political negotiation, two-state solution is key to pave the way towards peace. That is why we need to build security with two states living side by side for both Israelis and Palestinians. That is why we must absolutely support initiatives leading towards a sustainable ceasefire now. As a promoter of peace, Europe must and can play a very important role. On Ukraine, I would like to reiterate once again our full support. It is now more than 2 years since Russia invaded the country, violating international law and waging a war that has killed thousands. We can never allow the politics of power to triumph over international law. We cannot let Russia win, because that would be a victory. That would be a victory of the oppressor over the oppressed, of despotism over democracy, of authoritarianism over freedom. Ukraine, today and always, we stand with you. Alexei Navalny's fight was a beacon of hope for democracy in Russia. His recent death has shocked us deeply, but it should not shake us. It must motivate us to continue his fight by continue supporting civil society and human rights defenders. And friends, in the light of these events, it is more important than ever for the EU to be engaged in the global multilateral order. The EU must continue to promote peace and support international cooperation together with the United Nations, as it has always done. And in this regard, the United Nations Summit of the Future, not least promoted by the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres this year, will be an important opportunity to build a more effective and equitable system of international cooperation that is so needed. Dear friends, I don't want to leave this stage without a word of thanks to our dear Antonio Costa. This is your last PES Congress as Prime Minister of Portugal, a position you held with great responsibility and success in Portugal and in Europe. And for us, for all Social Democrats, you will always be an inspiration. I'm sure our paths will cross again in our fight for a better society. Obrigado, Antonio. Listen to these applauds and never forget it. Never forget it. Comrades, in conclusions, allow me to say also a few words about Nicolas Schmidt. With you as our lead candidate, we will deliver a Europe that works for everyone. Our collective efforts have been instrumental in improving the lives of millions of citizens in the last mandate. Nicolas Schmidt was an essential part of those efforts. You fought for social justice, for quality jobs, decent wages, and the right of the most vulnerable people. Few have actually carried the social democratic flag as high as you have, not least the recent years. And that is why, Nicolas, we couldn't be prouder to have you as our lead candidate for the President of the European Commission, and we are standing right beside you. You have all our support. So inspired by our figures and successes, I want citizens to know that they can count on us to meet the existential challenges that we face. They can count on Nicolas Schmidt, can count on our governments, our MEPs and leaders, and of course, they can count on our activists and members to build a Europe that will rekindle the flame of peace and solidarity that actually inspired this beautiful project. So let us all go from door to door, talk to our fellow citizens, meet our peoples out on the squares, and mobilize for a progressive Europe. As our great friend David Sassoli once said, Europe can help us be better in the world. I couldn't agree more. And with Nicolas Schmidt leading our fight, we go forward toward a Europe that is social, democratic, and sustainable. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Stefan. Now, I would like to ask you a moment of silence, because we have decided to pay respect to three personalities, three leaders, three socialists, three European socialists who have been serving for their countries, for Europe, for our movement, and have left us in these past months. I'm referring to Marty Ahtisaari, Jacques Delors, and Giorgio Napolitano. I would like to acknowledge the presence of the son of Giorgio Napolitano, Giulio Napolitano. He's here with us. there is one sentence that represents the way I personally feel, and I believe all of us do. We are standing on the shoulders of giants. These players have shaped the Europe in which we live, and we will always have to be grateful for their dedication, commitment, and determination to carry on their values. Another giant that we would like to record, to commemorate, to remember today, as this is the 100 years since he was brutally assassinated by the fascist regime of Benito Mussolini here in Rome, is a great socialist, is Giacomo Matteotti. And I would like to invite on stage the current leader of PSI, Enzo Maraio, who will say a few words about it. Thank you, Enzo, for being here. Thank you for your support.
Care compagne e cari compagni, è davvero un onore per me dare il mio benvenuto, quello del Partito Socialista Italiano, a Roma, in Italia, a questo bellissimo congresso. E lo facciamo insieme al Partito Democratico e ad Elly Schlein, con la quale stiamo portando avanti un lavoro in stretta sinergia. Avviamo di fatto la nostra campagna elettorale con questo congresso per le europee, che è una campagna elettorale che ha bisogno di valori, di icone. Alcune le abbiamo viste, le abbiamo omaggiate, le abbiamo ricordate, Atisari, Napolitano, Delors. Ma abbiamo bisogno di un manifesto che abbiamo adottato e che adottiamo, di valori, ideali, di prospettive, di obiettivi che abbiamo davanti, per porre soprattutto l'obiettivo principale, un argine alle destre e un argine a tutti i totalitarismi che stanno prendendo piede in Europa e anche in Italia, dove c'è un governo dai tratti sempre più illiberali. E allora, se abbiamo bisogno di valori, di icone, Giacomo Matteotti è una di quelle. Io sono particolarmente contento che su nostra proposta ieri il Partito Democratico, i vertici del PES, Nicola Schmidt, Stefan Löfven, abbiano voluto accompagnarci a rendere omaggio alla stele di Giacomo Matteotti che è a Roma sul lungotevere Arnaldo da Brescia. 100 anni dall'assassinio non si dimenticano, anzi il nostro impegno è per il futuro. Then, dear comrades, this year marks the centenary of the assassination of Giacomo Matteotti, a socialist, an anti-fascist, a member of the Italian Parliament, the National Secretary of the Partito Socialista Unitario. Giacomo Matteotti was the first one upon whom all the violence of Mussolini's fascist regime was unleashed. He was kidnapped in Rome after giving his speech, his last one, in the Chamber of Deputies. In this speech, he denounced the corruption of the fascist regime, the anti-democratic atrocities, the violence with which the fascists controlled the election in Italy. He was the last free voice in Italy. Today, 100 years after his assassination, we want to remember him together with the European socialist comrades, because today we have to work against new totalitarianism again. Nicola Schmidt will guide us in the European electoral campaign. He is the right person to make the voice of European socialists heard loudly in defense of freedom, rights, equality, social justice and peace. Together we will fight against the right that wants a weak Europe, a Europe governed by nationalists and sovereignists, a Europe in some ways still inspired by that dark period. We want a social and fair Europe, a strong Europe able to speak with one voice to the world, a Europe that promotes peace, security, cooperation, sustainable development, human rights and the rule of the law in the world. A Europe which promotes democracy and freedom all over the world. We pay our tribute to all the people like Matteotti and like Navalny, who sacrificed their lives forsake and defense of freedom and democracy. They are the heroes of yesterday and of today, to whom we express our deepest gratitude. Once more, welcome to all of you and the good works to all of us. Thank you.
Muy bien, ahora hablamos un poco de castellano. Me gustaría invitar ahora a hablar aquí el líder que en las últimas elecciones en España no solo defendió su país, símbolo de libertad, símbolo de democracia, símbolo de feminismo, sino que también defendió a nuestra idea de Europa, Pedro Sánchez.
Muchas gracias. Thank you. Thank you. We have a very important Spanish delegation. Well, dear colleagues, thank you very much for your warm hospitality, and thank you, Rome, and thank you, Partido Democrático. Look, there was a time not long ago when some people said that social democracy had no future, that our ambitions were no longer shared by the citizens, that our values and hopes were doomed to be washed away by individualism or neoliberalism. They said so. And then the COVID-19, the pandemic came, the war in Ukraine broke out, the economic crisis followed. And once again, it was the social democratic ideas that saved us. It was the welfare state and the solidarity among people that allow us to overcome those terrible challenges and move forward. Now, the same who said that we had no future are trying to recover a past that never existed. The far right is growing all over Europe, in many places supported by a conventional right that it is imitating its arguments and populist techniques. All the progress that we have achieved is at stake. Workers' rights, equality between men and women, the public services, the freedom and respect of LGBT people, the transition to a fairer and more sustainable economy. The very soul of Europe is at risk. And once again, it is up to us, the Social Democrats, to defeat that threat and ensure that history continues to advance in the right direction. We are much more than the party of European socialists, my dear friends. We are the party of those Europeans who still believe that together we are stronger than separated. That the welfare state is the most effective tool to provide a good quality of life to everyone. That social justice and decent working conditions are not obstacles, but the sole possible foundations for a real economic competitiveness. That we can tackle climate change and achieve a sustainable growth without leaving anyone behind. We are the party of those who still believe that the right policies can make the difference. And we believe so because we have done it ourselves. Yeah. We fostered the next generation response to the crisis. Our dear President Stefan Löfven knows quite well. We saved millions of jobs through the SURE mechanism with a decisive contribution from our dear Chancellor Olaf Scholz. We transformed entire industries and increased dramatically the production of clean energy thanks to the leadership of the Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen, or thanks to the determination of our colleague Commissioner Timmermans. And we advanced the social rights of all Europeans at the Porto Summit under the leadership of our dear friend Antonio Costa. and of course the Commissioner for Employment and Social Rights, Nicholas Schmid. So dear Nicholas, you are much more than the candidate of the European Socialists. You are the candidate of those Europeans who kept their jobs during the lockdowns, of those who benefited from the minimum wage directive and the minimum income and care initiatives, of those who are never better off because of the child and youth guarantees were approved. For us, it is a real privilege to fight this battle at your side. Colleagues, social democracy is not only an ideology. It is not only a political movement. Social democracy is, above all, the belief in change. The belief that despite all difficulties and setbacks, despite the resistance of the elites, societies can improve and move towards more just, prosperous, and sustainable forms. The ghosts of the past are again at the gates of our institutions. Hate, greed, falsehood, climate denialism, authoritarianism, they are equipped with new digital weapons, and they have powerful allies inside and outside Europe. But we will defeat them as we defeated them before and continue to build a new, better Europe. A Europe where jobs are not only safe and well paid, but also fulfilling. A Europe where technology is powerful, but also respectful to people's interests and rights. A Europe where quality education, healthcare, and housing are not the privilege of a few. A Europe where men and women are equals and where people can become whatever they want, regardless their social background. A Europe, in short, that remains what it has always been, a beacon of freedom, democracy, and human dignity. So, friends, the challenge is huge, but our determination to face is even bigger. Let's offer hope where others offer fear. Let's offer openness and tolerance where others only claim fragmentation and hate. In short, let's bring innovation and future where others only promise nostalgia and a past that never existed. Time will prove us right. It always does. Thank you very much.
1 second. I ask Ellie and Nico to come on stage to thank you for your beautiful words. And allow me to say that it was 2 days ago, but it was your birthday.
Yes.
And that doesn't happen that often, only once every 4 years.
Absolutely.
So still, happy birthday, President.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And now, after all those wonderful men, we have a wonderful and strong female leader with us. Someone who has led the way on social policies, climate policies, and the support for Ukraine. Please welcome the Prime Minister of Denmark, Mette Frederiksen.